All right, good morning. Greetings whenever you're watching this. This is Robert Forsch with the YouTube channel Truth, and I wanted to cover a few topics. This is exactly where I was last night when I did the sunset broadcast. One of the reasons why I wanted to do that is I wanted to show you what a difference cloud cover makes, and then I wanted to go ahead and break this down a little bit. This is the selfie mode right now. So I'm going to flip this around so you can get a feel for what it looks like here. That's the Myrtle Beach skyline right there. We had the sunrise approximately a couple minutes ago, 7:18 Eastern Standard Time on December 26th, 2019. That's the Cherry Grove Fishing Pier over there. I've done a lot of broadcasts from there and recordings. I wanted to come to the exact location I was last night to show you. Well, high tide is in a few minutes now, about a half an hour after the sunrise was supposed to occur here. It happened, we just can't see it because of all the cloud cover. That's one of the dynamics with that. The high tide at 7:40 Eastern Standard Time should be about 5.5 feet. And the sun will appear right about in the, I would say right over in this area if we're able to see it. Now, right up high here, we've got some blue sky through there. It's gorgeous. I'm gonna pull the camera off the tripod for a moment just to show you a little bit of what it looks like. That is Sea Mountain Highway in Cherry Grove. The lighthouse there is the IGA. Bolanos, many of you would know it as that. And right over here is where I shot the sun appearing in the clouds, just as Job 37 proclaims. So there is certainly mystery with the creation. How do the sun, moon, and stars work? They work exactly as they're supposed to, except for the wandering stars. The wandering stars are doing their own thing. Many of them would recognize those as the planets. This is a rather reflective time of the year. A lot of people will reflect on their lives. How did we get here? How did we end up where we are right now? Well, a lot of it has to do with choices that we've made. And then also there's the, I believe, providence of God as we look at this, as we reflect on our lives. It's about 47 degrees out here, and there's virtually no wind happening. Absolutely gorgeous. Somebody messaged me last night, or yesterday afternoon. It was really, I really appreciate it. They said that felt like I was speaking directly to her. And I do get that. I get that. People can identify with the struggles that we can go through in this life. I'm gonna go ahead and flip the camera around once again. And I think the sound is probably a little bit better when I'm standing behind the camera, just showing the beauty of this. So many of us are in somewhat of a digital quarantine. Good morning. And that digital quarantine, we're trading memes and sharing the videos that we believe are important to consider about a variety of topics. And the challenge with that is so many of the individuals that are looking in on that, if they randomly happen on by our content and go, oh my gosh, that's a crazy person. Well, that may be the case. However, the truth does sound crazy to those that are deceived. And by irony and paradox, the deceived do not know that they are in fact deceived. To be clear, the definition of belief, I believe, contains the fact that we believe it to be true or real. And that doesn't necessarily make that accurate. That doesn't actually, just because we believe something doesn't make it true. It may seem very real to us. So in the context of what I do, not only do I share powerful documentaries exposing what I believe the situation is on a veritable kaleidoscope of conspiracies, sometimes I'll actually feature videos that highlight the very thing I'm exposing, and they're doing it in a favorable light. Isn't that special? Yeah, it is. And one of the reasons why I do that is when I put a comment on a video like wow or excellent, shared millions of times through my liked videos playlist, that video becomes a part of the publicly visible playlist that I have tens of millions of occurrences out there. Quite often when I make that comment, whether it's in a live feed of a NASA footage or relaxing music video with the beauty of creation or natural sounds, a lot of times people will come on by and see what my channel is about. If they do that, I probably won't know that they were there. If they make a comment or subscribe, typically I will subscribe back to people. And I'll do that, I'll subscribe to people I disagree with as well. And just because I feature a video and I click like on a video doesn't necessarily mean I agree or like the video directly. I like the fact that I'm able to share with their own words and their own production what they believe the truth about a situation is. So for example, when I featured a couple of videos speaking of witchcraft or the secret, the power of positive thinking, or how do athletes reach a level of excellence operating in the flow? I want you to know something. I've operated in the flow. It is absolutely mind-boggling what can occur in the flow. I'm going to take you back in time when I moved from the intermediate class to the expert class in motocross at Chautauqua in Wisconsin. I'll keep it real brief, but I went from the top of the mini bike class to lapping everybody up to third place on a 2-mile track when I raced mini bikes. Then I got a full-size bike, a 125, and I moved up to the top of the class there. Then I was progressed to the intermediate class, and I was at the top of the class there. And then when I moved to the expert class, I went to the top of the class there at that particular race. We were so far ahead of everybody else. All I did, I latched on to, I just held the throttle wide open, going over some of the gnarliest, roughest terrain you can imagine. And for a good amount of time, I was just right running with these actually professional level motocross racers. At that time, I was keeping up with professional level racers. And for those of you who follow motorsports, there's quite a difference between amateur and professional, although some amateurs can operate at a professional level
skill set. It's just that because of funding and life circumstances, sometimes, well, I didn't make it in the pros. But anyway, I was running at this level for almost the whole race, and we were way, way in front of everybody else. And then it was kind of weird. I was thinking, how in the heck is this even happening? How am I doing this? And then I went over a jump and I crashed like a sack of potatoes. I tumbled. It was, like 65 miles an hour I crashed.
I stepped out of the flow. How about that? Isn't that special? But I knew what it was like. And I believed I could do it again. And I did. If you look at my selected photos, I've got one. It's one of the only photographs left of my motocross racing career. Because of moving and all of that, I think it's the only one I've got. I have another one. A gentleman reached out to me years ago, this past summer. And it was me and my dad when I was 14 and he was a lot younger and obviously alive. The video that this gentleman put me in, he was a correspondent for Channel 11 News out of Green Bay, Wisconsin. He said he had wondered what happened to the Robert Forsch that he had videotaped. The name of the video was Motocross King. That was his name of it. And I was featured on this broadcast, and I went from basically moving across down this starting line, and I was like in the top couple of motorcycles, and then I got hit. I got smacked into and I crashed. And on that particular day, there were about 60 motorcycles on the starting line. And I had to pass a whole bunch of motorcycles to get where I got. I got up to 7th place, which was amazing because I started out last. One of the reasons why I moved, and that's in like 15 minutes of a race. One of the reasons that happened is because I wasn't following directly behind the people in front of me. That's a little foreshadowing in what I'm going to tell you about. It was a muddy day. There were mud tracks all over. People would get into this groove where the vehicle and the motorcycle in front of them would get stuck, and then a whole bunch of them would run into each other and they'd be sitting there. One of the shots that happened, a guy was wearing cowboy boots, and I came running and I was moving fast, and he jumped literally out of his boots. His boots were left in the mud there, and I passed like about 20 motorcycles in that one mud hole. To fast forward where we are now, I'm not necessarily following what other people are doing exactly on YouTube and Facebook and all of that. I do believe that because of that, I've been given an opportunity to share some really important information with people. I'm not doing this for money. It actually costs me money to do what I do with buying stickers and labeling up the car. And I've probably earned less than $10 on YouTube so far with the AdSense program. The reasons why I added advertisements to my videos is I want to be commercially viable so that YouTube will continue to help me do what I do. That's what this is all about. I'm not doing this on my own. I'm doing this with the help of a lot of people and corporations that actually, like, for example, Amazon makes most of their money, Amazon.com makes most of their money by selling internet services. I do believe that they are the largest single provider of internet worldwide. And so the pieces of this puzzle are really elaborate. I'm leveraging instantaneous worldwide portable communications, the devices that connect to them, mine and yours and everybody else's, and I'm wanting people to make an educated choice on what the reality actually is of this world. How did we get here, and what is this all about?
I wanted to know. And when I was a young boy, about 10 years old, I took a look around and I wondered, do other people see what I'm seeing? And to be intellectually honest, of course not. Each of us have our own individual perspective.
We have our own individual life circumstances that in many cases are absolutely tragic. I have interacted with people that have attempted suicide. I survived that in 2005. To actually get to the place while I was on prescribed pharmaceuticals and not want to live anymore, I prayed with our sons, said goodnight to my wife. Joni went upstairs after having taken a bottle and a half of Tylenol gel caps, PM.
I was actually on prescription medication of Prozac and Depakote at that time as well, which is the reason why I don't take them anymore.
I'm free from drugs, legal and illegal. I thought I would die that night, just wake up with Jesus and it'd be all good. Well, I don't know that it would be all good. I don't recommend suicide to anybody. So I end up talking with people that can relate to the difficulty of a life that has lost meaning or contains so much shame that there's no desire to cause any more of that shame and difficulty and pain on friends and family. So, I'm not that guy anymore. I thought I was born again in 1982 until I actually was in 2014. What if you hashtag my name, you'll see,
You may see one of the notes. Hey, Fred. You may see a note that was placed on my car. A friend of mine, Crystal, made a video. Who is Robert Forsch? She did a video. On that note, it said, hi, Ava. Good morning. The note said, don't ever come back to this beach again. That was right here.
And it's not that I was heckling people on the beach or anything. Somebody wanted to see me stop what I was doing. And I do believe that there are those that would still like to see me stop what I'm doing. However, I'm constrained to do what I'm created to do. And that's what you're looking at here, is not just showing you the beauty and majesty of creation, also showing you new life in Christ. The living word, the living water, the great I am, the Alpha and Omega. He's got Greek references, Hebrew references. Some may call him the Great Spirit, Yahweh, the Creator. And the truth of all this is each one of us is going to need to navigate through this world and determine what we believe the truth is and then act accordingly on that. So as important as what I believe is to me, what you believe is going to be most effective and ultimately important for you. And each individual needs to answer that question. How did I get here? What is this about? And is there more? I believe there's a lot more. I believe there's a spiritual dimension, entities that we cannot see, and then some of those entities take up residence in individuals. I believe the creator, the ultimate creator of this whole world life experience, also authored the Bible. And he now lives in and through me and all of his children that are actually born again now. Some of his children haven't even been born the first time yet, let alone being born again, born of the Spirit. Unless a man is born again, he won't even see the kingdom of heaven. Well, not only do I see it, I'm actually living in it in the context of I have been given I went from being hopeless to having a passion, purpose, an eternal perspective, the power to do what I previously couldn't do, and the pleasure to enjoy it all, even though it's very unpopular with so many. And that's unfortunate for them. They may get this later, they may never get this. I don't know. I'm not responsible for the results. I'm responsible for the obedience. The truth isn't based on popular opinion. It's not popular and it's not an opinion. It's just the truth, the reality of the situation. Is it true? Whatever it is that you want to know about. We all have our individual life circumstances that we may be wondering, am I gonna lose my job? Is my wife gonna leave me? Am I gonna die of cancer or some other catastrophic occurrence? Well, ultimately, 7 people per second no longer have the human experience. We're, I believe, all eternal beings having a temporary human experience. And yet, there are those listening in on what I'm saying right now and have said that are not exactly human. They may be a spiritual entity. Obviously, Satan knows what I'm doing. God knows what I'm doing. Greater is he that's in me than he that's in this world, meaning Satan, the fallen angels. You see, Satan will use whatever he can. He's an opportunist. God will use it all, including Satan. That is so comforting, so awesome. That's why I say continually, I'm not afraid to live, die, or tell the truth. I used to be afraid to do all of that. So there you have it. I remember when in 1982, I believe it was actually in the fall of 1981, I met some people on College Avenue in Appleton, Wisconsin, and they were telling me about God. They were telling me about Jesus. They were telling me about being born again, and I thought, well, that sounds pretty good. The week before, the reason why I was on College Avenue that night, smoking dope and riding a motorcycle, smoking marijuana, was that I crashed my car. It wasn't just I slid off the road. The girlfriend that I had was a witch. She was extremely beautiful, and she said she was going to cast a spell on me. I said, all right. Well, I ended up shearing off a power pole, and electricity was sparking off the car, and I could have been hit by a train because the power pole I hit on Highway 45 was just coming out of Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I was drinking scotch with the college professors at Oshkosh University. I used to like to do that. Smoke pot and drink scotch and talk to educated people. Pick their brains, figure out what the heck is this all about anyway. Well, I had a pound of marijuana in the car at the time, and that got thrown all over the car. I was arrested and just released. I didn't even get a drunk driving ticket. In 1981, it wasn't as big of a deal. Now it's become much bigger of a deal. But anyway, I cracked the windshield, cracked my head open, had glass in my head. I've had a lot of near-death experiences, not just the suicide, motorcycle and car accidents and more. Now the witches mother said that she had cancer. The mother had been diagnosed with cancer, and Jesus healed her. She had been diagnosed with terminal cancer. The cancer turned inside on itself, and she was alive and well. So here I broke up with this beautiful witch, and her mother is telling me about God and how he healed her of cancer. And I thought, well, that's an interesting combination. A witch and then a born-again child of God that was healed of cancer. So can you imagine how family get-togethers were for them? Yeah, so part of isn't that special? You know, Matthew 10 and Luke 12 talk about the discord that's going to be in families. People breaking up, getting angry at each other, children even turning in their parents to be executed. There's human sacrifice in the form of abortion, human sacrifice in the form of war. Have you ever thought of it like that? That war is actually a very high level of disinformation to get people to create killing machines and then drop them onto a battlefield together to kill one another. Well, the ruling elite just sit back and watch it all happen. Wow. It's an industry of death. Hey, by the way, did you know Monsanto was bought out by Bayer? Yeah, Bayer Pharmaceutical. The pharmaceutical industry is largely a chemical straitjacket for much of humanity. I'm wanting to free your mind, free your heart, to introduce you to the great liberator, the one who sets the captives free. So I was a captive, enslaved to my own selfish pursuit of pleasure in a variety of different methods. Self-pleasure, seeing things the way I want to see them, believing what I want to believe. Largely that's what people do, is they believe the lie they want to believe. Now, according to Scripture, the gospel is foolishness to those that are perishing, ultimately. And yet, the gospel is the fragrance of life to those that are being born again. I am so grateful for that. So on New Year's Day of 2015, I came out here and I did my photo shoot for my profile picture. And that was the one I took 5 years ago. It was pretty cold. It was like 26 degrees out here. It was beautiful. And I've been taking pictures for a long time, and I love doing that. I'm gonna go ahead and pan this on around and show you the area. Thank you so much. I appreciate all the friendly greetings and encouragement from my friends and family all over the face of this, yes, stationary and level earth. The water is seeking level right now. The belief of living on a spinning water ball hurling through space is not possible. People that believe that are out of touch with reality. I've proven that. Now, there are those that would say my belief in God is also being out of touch with reality. Well, I've got my belief and a changed life, and I'm enjoying what I get to do in spite of considerable opposition. So I'm gonna stick with that. The Bible is the most reliable source of information that I've been able to find. I've done a lot of exploration into that, and very few people actually believe that. Oh well, I'm not responsible for what you believe. In fact, as best I can tell, I'm not even responsible for a lot of what I believe. And let me explain that to you. Because I used to be an atheist. I used to believe the Bible was a fairy tale, and it was actually created by a controlling group of people that wanted to be protected and have their stuff protected. Because if people are afraid that God's going to send them to hell, then they're probably not going to rape and pillage and steal and all of that. So I believed that the Bible and all religions were a control mechanism. When did I believe that? At about 10 years old. That's where I was. I was way outside the box as a child. I started riding a two-wheeled bicycle without training wheels when I was 2.5 years old. I didn't even know that that was circus level operating. I didn't know. I asked my dad, I said, Dad, could you take the training wheels off? I don't want to have them on anymore. And he said, are you sure? I said, yeah, I just need you to get me going. And he got me going. He'd give me a push, and then I could keep pedaling. And I would pedal around for a long time. I had to have wooden blocks on the pedals too. The reason why I tell you all this is that even from a very young age, I was outside the box, thinking outside the box as a child. My earliest memory was less than a year old. I was in a crib next to a river, and this was in River Bend, I believe it was, in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. There were no pictures of it. I was just told about it. So I'm gonna pan this on over a little bit to give you an idea of the orientation right here, where we are. The pier is facing directly south. So now the sun is in the middle of the view, and I'm gonna pan on around over here, and we had the sunset there. So it's rising here and setting there. Very different in December than it is in the summertime. In the summertime, it comes up way over there, and then it's going to set right over there. I've got video evidence of it. Apparently, in order for us to see the sunrise, what NASA and the modern theoretical physicists are presenting with formulas and theories that don't reflect reality, they're saying we're rotating in that direction 1,038 miles an hour at the equator. Do you feel yourself spinning, wobbling, or gyrating? I sure hope not, because the Earth isn't moving. I featured a video where the content was talking about geoengineering, chemtrails, contrails, solar dimming, all of that. I call it weather wars. I want to show you something. See all that there? That'll turn into clouds, weather patterns. So the system of control, artificial intelligence, controls the flow of information, electricity, creates weather systems through the dispersal of aluminum, barium, strontium, and more biological agents, nano-sized particles of contaminants that take up residence in our body, activated by the hydrochloric acid in our stomach. And hello, can you say self-replicating nanobots? Nanobots? Nanobots. Yeah, look it up. Boron is borax, and that provides some relief from the Morgellons. I've got videos that talk about it on my channel. I have a lot of mental clarity. I've had friends tell me that after they started having the borax in their diet, in their water, that their arthritis went away and they had a lot more energy and mental clarity. How about that? Here we go. So I'm gonna move this on over so you can have the shoreline in the point of reference as well. So there's health benefits with boron. It's an element. It's not soap. I mix a tablespoon of baking soda and borax in boiling, highly purified reverse osmosis water. I'll clean myself out with that. I'll put it on any area that I don't want fungus growing. It's an antifungal, both baking soda and borax is. Imagine that. It's an anti-cancer as well. Dr. Simonici out of Rome, Italy, has killed cancer with baking soda. My mom died over 26 years ago. She said, Bobby, if the cancer doesn't get you, the treatment will. She was absolutely right. That was another life circumstance that basically made me a bit disillusioned. I went back into drinking alcohol and smoking cigars for a while. I worked at a full-time Christian ministry called Rawhide Boys Ranch in New London, Wisconsin from 91 to 2002. And then that street ministry that I told you about, telling me about Jesus, turned into a church that became a mega church. I helped build their $11 million sanctuary, and I was selected to lead character development classes and men's groups. We homeschooled our sons and we were foster parents. And I was a dead man walking and didn't know it.
That's why one of the most disturbing messages that I believe I bring to people is the fact that I was doing all this activity and I was spiritually dead and didn't know it.
And then when I went to seek natural cures, I found myself taking, smoking marijuana, creating my own e-liquid with Everclear and all of that, trying to get relief from the miserable life that I was living. That was like a decade ago. And then just about 5 years ago, shortly after Robin Williams apparently committed suicide, I wanted to know if that was going to happen to me because Robin and I were both diagnosed with bipolar. We struggled on and off of pharmaceuticals and legal and illegal drugs.
My brother Bill Forsch, William Forsch, plaster casted Robin Williams' face and my face as well. I was smiling. I looked like I was alive. When I put my Ray-Bans on, I looked like a live person. Most people, when they get a death mask, that they call them, when they plaster cast like Al Capone or somebody that's died, they look dead because the pressure has left their skin, their body, their heart isn't working anymore. A dead person looks different than an alive person. However, a spiritually dead person can be smiling and looking like they're having a great time. And all the while, they can be in a very precarious place. That's where I was. I wanted to know, when I die, am I really going to heaven? If I was truly born again, why was I struggling with alcoholism and drug addiction and a sense of hopelessness in life? Well, the reason why is I was spiritually dead and didn't know it. So that information was disturbing and relieving all at the same time.
The reason for that is, wow, God gave me a desire to know the truth more than anything else, concurrently and simultaneously with His Holy Spirit. He gave me, like I said, a passion, purpose, an eternal perspective, the power to do what I previously couldn't do, and the pleasure to enjoy it all. There you go. So now that we've established the exact location of the sunrise, and last night, you can look at the video previous to this, the sun sat right over there. That's just the way it is. It's beautiful. I enjoy it. I've got over 4,500 videos on my liked video playlist and many other playlists with many other videos there. There's talented documentary producers from all over the world, as well as people that are documenting the beauty and majesty of creation. And I'm giving you a breakdown on what I believe the reality of that is. That the creation itself proclaims the fact that there's a creator. You want to see programmable matter? That's part of it. The universe was, the world was created by water and through water. You can read the account of Genesis. Then the other thing is, there's archaeological evidence of the biblical proclamation that, yes, in fact, there was a great flood that covered the face of the entire earth. We've got shark teeth in the desert, and the Noah's Ark was found in the mountains of Ararat. I've got documentation on my profiles. The reason why I say to explore my channel is because, not just my channel, all the different social media that I'm on, because there's a variety of content throughout. Yes, I'm typically at my friend limit on Facebook. I don't believe there's a limit on Instagram. I can have as many followers as people want to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, that type of thing. So I did get a message from YouTube that they were going to make liked video playlists not publicly visible. I mentioned that yesterday. I've been talking about it quite a bit. I had to reset my parameters on my playlist to be public. YouTube turned it to private a couple of times. It'd be unfortunate if they were to sustain that, because there's tens of millions of occurrences of my liked videos playlist throughout. When I send out an invitation to like a page, I put my name, phone number in a hashtag, and I hashtag the truth and send out my playlist. They'll probably want to stop me from doing that too. I'm circumventing some of the algorithms that the internet, artificial intelligence, is choreographing, presenting the truth to some, hiding it from others. It's just kind of the way it is. So what can we do about that? Well, whatever we can. I'm wanting to do more than just have, if you want to have a channel that you call Truth and you share what you believe the truth is, that'd be just great. If you want to look through my content and choose which of the videos I've liked that you want to add to your liked videos, feel free to do that. There's videos there that would be very hard for people to find, because when we click on a search, a lot of times there will be millions of results. How many of those do you get through? So if you want to know what I thought would be worth food for thought, something to consider, you can take a look at my channel. Yep, there you go. That's it. I think that'll do for today. I want to thank you so much. Feel free to reach out anytime, and I'll be updating all my playlists and activity on Facebook and YouTube. That's just what I do day in, day out. Thank you so much. Feel free to reach out anytime. This is Robert Forsch with the YouTube channel Truth. With the truth, the way, the truth, and the life. New life in Christ.